Hey, I woke up for some money. Hey, little man, too many ops here. Tell me who you with. He said, I just put diamonds on all of my teeth and I think I ain't intelligent. Hold on. What's going on, guys? It's me, Ykfrenzy here. Today, I'm going to be reacting to at least like 4 videos, maybe more. This might be a long stream. I don't know. I'm going to react to some videos that are Dragon Ball Legends related. I got 3 of them lined up here. 1, 2, 3. Don't mind these other videos. Those are for different things. So let's get into this first one right here. And then while I am watching these, I'm going to be grinding Legends.
Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta and Ultra Half Corrupted Zamasu.
Turbo.
Since the 7th anniversary, we've had 2 Ultra releases, Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta and Ultra Half Corrupted Zamasu.
Right.
But prior to the 7th anniversary, we had only got 1 Ultra, that being Ultra Perfect Cell, where usually we would get 2 Ultras at least before the anniversary and 2 Ultras after the anniversary, leading towards us getting 1 Ultra in the anniversary and 1 Ultra in the festival. But we all know,
I don't know why they died down on the Ultras.
2 Ultras, those being Ultra Final Form Frieza and
They
Ultra
died
Super
down
Saiyan
on
Goku.
them, but not
But
really.
if that's the case, and now that we've already got 2 extra ones, does that mean in the festival 2025 we're going to get only 1 Ultra? Well,
That'd
the
be
simple
fire.
answer would be
Ultra
to say
Super Saiyan
yes,
4 Goku?
but maybe it's not that simple. So let's break it down and see
That's
what we got here.
definitely
Also,
calm.
let me know in the comment
That's
section what you
definitely
think.
calm.
You're free to your own opinion, and I'm curious to see what you do think. Let's take a dive. Right, so I think the first thing we should do is look at why they might have released 2 Ultras in the 7th anniversary in the first place. I'm not a dev, so I can't give you a definitive answer, but I can make some educated guesses, some assumptions using logic that would make sense for why they might have made that decision for the 7th year of all years. So the first thing let's point out, this is supposed to be their greatest year ever. The greatest anniversary of all. You know, the Super 7th anniversary. So of course they tried to, you know, increase the bar by dropping 2 Ultras. People have mixed opinions about it, but they did do that, I'm not gonna lie. Those Ultras look phenomenal. Super Saiyan Goku and Final Form Frieza.
They
you know,
do look
it's
good.
Just nice. They look good together, and of
still
course
wish I got
everybody was
Frieza.
like, wow, the model on Goku, the mechanics Goku has. Not a big fan of Frieza's, I don't think anybody is, but you guys get the gist. They increased the bar, and that was the point because it's their 7th year, 7 Dragon Balls, Super 7th anniversary. You get the point. We can also just write it off as an exception. So to create a pair like that, it's not something they can just do all the time. There's very few pairs that would be high caliber.
Just realized. Why do I keep doing that? Gaming scene. Here we go. Now
To put in a celebration.
Run it back.
Right, so I think the first thing we should do is look at why they might have released 2 Ultras in the 7th anniversary in the first place. I'm not a dev, so I can't give you a definitive answer, but I can make some educated guesses, some assumptions using logic that would make sense for why they might have made that decision for the 7th year. Since the 7th anniversary, we've had 2 Ultra releases, Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta and Ultra Half Corrupted Zamasu. But prior to the 7th anniversary, we had only got 1 Ultra, that being Ultra Perfect Cell, where usually we would get 2 Ultras at least before the anniversary and 2 Ultras after the anniversary, leading towards us getting 1 Ultra in the anniversary and 1 Ultra in the festival. But we all know in this 7th anniversary, we got 2 Ultras, those being Ultra Final Form Frieza and Ultra Super Saiyan Goku. But if that's the case, and now that we've already got 2 extra ones, does that mean in the festival 2025 we're going to get only 1 Ultra? Well, the simple answer would be to say yes, but maybe it's not that simple. So let's break it down and see what we got here. Also, let me know in the comment section what you think. You're free to your own opinion, and I'm curious to see what you do think. Let's take a dive. Right, so I think the first thing we should do is look at why they might have released 2 Ultras in the 7th anniversary in the first place. I'm not a dev, so I can't give you a definitive answer, but I can make some educated guesses, some assumptions using logic that would make sense for why they might have made that decision for the 7th year of all years. So the first thing let's point out, this is supposed to be their greatest year ever. However, the greatest
Yeah,
anniversary of
yeah,
all,
sure,
the Super 7th anniversary. So
Greatest
of
year.
course they tried to, increase the bar by dropping 2 ultras. People have mixed opinions about it, but they did do that. I'm not gonna lie. Those
I don't
ultras
know
look
if it's
phenomenal.
nostalgia,
Super
my
Saiyan
nigga,
Goku
but
and Final
fifth
Form
anniversary
Frieza.
felt better
It's
to me.
just nice. They look good together, and of course everybody was like, wow, the model
Fifth
on
and the
Goku, the
sixth.
mechanics Goku has. Not a big fan of Frieza's. I don't think anybody is. But you guys get the gist. They increased the
I
bar,
ain't
and
even
that
like
was
the
the
sixth.
point
I ain't
because
gonna
it's
lie.
their 7th year.
I ain't gonna lie, I
Dragon
did
Ball
not like the
Super
sixth
7th anniversary. You get the point. We can also just write it off as an exception. So to create a pair like that, it's not something they can just do all the time. There's very few pairs that would be high caliber to put in a celebration. If I was to just mention some, we obviously have Super Saiyan Goku and Frieza.
Ew, why you look like that?
Dynamic 5
Why he
minutes
look like
until the
that?
planet blows up. That makes a lot of sense. But is there many others that you would have in a celebration to end the celebration? I don't think there is. We might have Cell and Gohan, but would you hold Cell to the same standard of
and
Frieza?
Gohan,
Most Dragon Ball fans don't. And I'm saying that
Beast
while he's
and
my
Cell
favorite
Max.
antagonist in the whole of Dragon Ball.
That's
Maybe
not as comp,
Vegito and Buhan, but if they drop Vegito, we
actually
wouldn't even
Beast
need
and
Buu.
Orange
We've
Piccolo.
had this in numerous cases as well, so it could just feel stale. Maybe MUI Goku and Jiren.
A Beast and Orange Piccolo tag? You cannot lie. That would be so fucking fire. And then they could go on a Regen team, or they could go on a Sun Family team, or Super Warriors. But I don't think nobody cares about Super Warriors. So let's just leave them out of this.
I think that would be a top contender, to be honest, but it would be MUI Goku holding all the weight. Gogeta and Broly, we've had Gogeta
And
before,
Broly is
similar
a
thing to what I
yes.
said with
Gogeta and
Vegito
Broly is
Buu.
a
I don't
must.
think there's anything else that would hold the same weight as Super Saiyan Goku and Frieza, so doing these two together made the most sense as an exception versus the rule that they could continue to do further down the line. I think we should also point out the production time and cost. It's very apparent that they only dropped 1 Ultra, and since they only dropped 1 Ultra prior to the anniversary, people immediately had the idea that we were going to get 2 Ultras in the part 3 of the anniversary. We did then get 2 Ultras in the anniversary, and what that can tell a lot of people is that it costs and it takes time. So they went out their way to not drop 2 Ultras prior to the 7th anniversary, where they usually would, and they moved that slot, so they pushed it back so that they could
Ultra
drop 2
Cell
in
was
the
annoying,
anniversary,
and I
where
really
usually
wanted
they
him.
just drop
And
1,
now he's a
or you
glass
would've had
cannon.
2 prior to the anniversary,
He's a
which would
glass
still make
cannon little
3, so it's
bitch.
still 3 in the first half of the year,
still
just
cook,
in a
though.
completely
I'll
different
give him
order.
that. He
So
can
a
still
reason
do
they were able
something,
to drop 2 Ultras
but
in the anniversary
it's not
would be
enough.
because they only
solid
dropped 1
niggas
Ultra
left,
prior,
but
which
it's
means
not
they had
enough.
time to develop the 2nd Ultra and put it together in the anniversary. But beyond from that, I don't think there's any other reasons as for why they would have made this exception. Like, sure, it's cool, the 7th anniversary, so it's their big year, they're trying to hype it
Yeah.
up, but is there many layers beyond that? I don't know. I don't think so either. It could very well be an exception, but right now, just validating why they would have done this for the 7th anniversary. Now, like I mentioned at the start of the video, we've already got 2 Ultras since the 7th anniversary ended. Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta and Half Corrupted
2
Zamasu.
broken
And to
Ultras.
me, that screams that we're only going to get 1 Ultra in the festival. If we only had got 1 Ultra since the 7th anniversary, I would then think we'd get 2, but if they drop 2 in the festival still, which is possible, it might feel very overwhelming because it's not like they further increased the Chrono Crystals or anything. I think
really
it's only
didn't.
natural to assume
They're
that
giving
they
a lot
would
of crystals
push
right
back
now,
one of
though.
the
Right
Ultras
now, it's
so
a
that
lot
we
of
get
crystals in the
2
game.
in the
I
festival,
do commend
similar
them
to
for
what
that.
they did prior to
There's
the
a lot
7th
of crystals in the
anniversary.
game
We
right
had
now.
only got Cell, and there
That's
wasn't
one thing
another
I will
Ultra.
say.
But that isn't a guarantee. I should also just add, is there anything special about the Festival 2025 in comparison to the game's anniversary? Well, sure, it does seem like they treat the festival better. Not every year, but I think a lot of people will agree to that.
Not
But the
every year.
anniversary is supposed to be the game's
Tag
birthday,
Force is
so
still cold,
technically
though.
it should hold more weight. And if
give
we
them their
run by
credit
that
here.
logic, what makes the festival special? For it to have some weight in the same way they absolutely put weight on the 7th anniversary by the fact that they were just gassing it up since the start. And unless I'm wrong, you guys can let me know in the comment section.
If
For
they
me,
pull
there's
another
nothing. It's
move-
really just an end of year celebration.
If they pull another move like how they did with Beast Gohan, no one wanted Ultra Beast Gohan, and the people who did want him just because like, oh yeah, it's Beast. We don't have an Ultra for Beast. Yeah, I'm a Gohan dick rider. Look at me. No one wanted that. We wanted an Ultra MUI. You know what they gave us when the anniversary came around? A transforming blue UI. And you want to know who was the main nigga who didn't get him? Me. Y'all didn't get him. I didn't get him at all. And the only time I got the chance to use that man was on Sun Roku's account. So thank you, Sun Roku.
celebration. So
Other
with
than
that
that,
being
fuck
the
that
case,
unit.
I think it's less likely they would try to do something more overwhelming in the same way they did with the anniversary by dropping 2 ultras. I think it's more likely we would only get 1 ultra. I think the real question a lot of you guys would have is, if it is 2 ultras or it's 1 ultra, what would it be? Now there's a lot of ultras we have in
Vegito
Dragon
and
Ball Legends
Gogeta.
already, and I think that
A
writes off a lot of
transforming,
possibilities that
no,
we could get
a
for the
fusing
2025
ultra,
festival. So
2
first, let me
fusing
just start
ultras.
with the options of
One
if
for
they drop
Vegito,
2
one for Gogeta.
ultras.
That would
Now
be
I
calm.
think one thing that should be heavily considered before I mention these options is that they don't have to pair them up like they did in the 7th anniversary. I think thinking like that limits a lot of the thought process. If you assume they're going to do an arc based 2 ultra drop, then it limits the possibilities that exist, and that restricts how likely you are to be right if this was an actual prediction. But right now I'm just going to list some possibilities. So let's focus on the arc
Sange no
just to
Tokita.
throw out a couple: Gogeta and Broly, MUI
Gogeta and
Goku
Broly.
and Jiren, Gohan and
Goku,
Cell,
Jiren.
Vegito and Boo, Vegito and
Vegito and
Zamasu,
Boo would be
Gohan
calm.
and Bojack, Bardock and Chilled. As you can
Bardock,
see, some of
Chilled.
those options really stink.
Bardock
And some of
and
those
Chilled
options just
is-
don't work because we already have that ultra. I didn't even
I would
mention
like that
Super
just
Saiyan
for
4
Bardock,
Goku and
I don't
Omega
think.
Shenron because we
Chilled-
already have Omega Shenron.
yeah,
Unless
nah,
they were just going to
that's
drop a
ass.
premium version of him, which I can't imagine people really want. Just not impossible though. But then we could extend
I
it
would
to
want a
double
Shenron.
ultras that don't match each
I
other.
don't care
And
for
that's
him, but
where
if they
things
gave us-
really
if
get
they gave a
complicated.
good
Could you
Shenron
imagine
again,
they drop 2
I
ultra
would want
fusions at once? Gogeta and Vegito. It could be 2 Gogetas. It could be 2 Vegetos. It could be 2 Gokus. It could be 2 Gohans. And realistically speaking, if I had to pick one, I would think they would go MUI Goku and Jiren. But honestly,
MUI
I
Jiren.
don't think they're gonna go the 2 ultra route. So let's focus on the 1 ultra options. Based on some that we haven't
Why would
got,
they do
Super
that
Saiyan 4
immediately
Goku
after
from
giving
GT.
us a
I
blue
think that's a very
transforming
big
unit for
contender.
UI?
We could get a new Gogeta. From the Broly movie, he would just have to be Super Saiyan and not blue. Also very possible. MUI Goku, right there. Do I think we're going to get him? Unfortunately, no, but it's not impossible. At least for right now. Sword of Hope Trunks
Bang.
too. Not everybody's favorite pick,
Sword of
but
Hope
he
is
has
okay.
been a Festival Legends Limited headliner before, and that's restricting to what we know. If they go the extra mile and start doing ultra tag units, the door really opens wide. But as you can see, there's a lot of options
They have
here,
to-
and I think
bro,
it's a
at
lot
some point
easier
they
for
had to
them
do ultra
produce
tag.
1 ultra,
Have to.
especially considering they've already dropped 2 ultras since the 7th anniversary, opposed to them dropping 2 ultras in the
I want an
festival
orange
when they've
Piccolo.
already dropped 2 ultras right now. The natural assumption
Instead
is
of
to follow
revival,
what they did leading towards the 7th
make him,
anniversary
like,
if we was
I
going
don't
to get a
know.
similar setup in the 2025
You
festival.
build his
Now,
gauge
if I
up
was to
and he
give my
transforms or
conclusion,
something.
I think it's more likely we get 1 ultra based on the patterns I've already recognized in this video. But there's another thing that I want to introduce that we haven't got in a long time, which I think is very possible considering this is their special 7th year. And I know we've done this every single year since they released them, but the Game Originals tag. I think they won't
Originals.
need to drop a second ultra
Gohan
if they do
Black.
something else special, and the other special thing would be a Game Originals Legends Limited. A unit we didn't think was fathomable would increase the bar inevitably. And I
Yes,
also
it
think it's
most
much
definitely
easier to
would.
produce a Game Originals than it would be to produce an Ultra unless it's an Ultra Game Originals. Something I also didn't address is just the cost against the profit. This hasn't been Dragon Ball Legends' most profitable year by any means. We saw in the 7th anniversary, they didn't hit top grossing once. That doesn't mean they can't, it just means they didn't. And there's lots of reasons for that. For example, they have the web store. If people are buying from the web store, they don't buy from the regular store. And that means the revenue they obtain isn't calculated through normal means, it's their web store. So it's less likely that they would hit top grossing. But you could also argue that because Dokkan Battle, who also have a web store, have been able
brother.
to hit top grossing, even though they have a web store, it should mean that Dragon Ball Legends should be able to do the same too. And if I was a dev and I tried to do something extra spectacular in the anniversary and it didn't earn
Yeah.
me more, would I continue to do that thing? Would I repeat
Hell
that
no.
process in the festival, putting out more to receive less?
Not
We
unless
know
the fans
devs, if I was to
really,
make an
really,
assumption,
really
I
want
wouldn't
it.
think they would do that. But it's not impossible. But if you ask me for my opinion, I think we're only going to get 1 ultra. Putting all stocks into Super Saiyan 4 Goku from GT. That's going to be the end of
Super
the
Saiyan
video.
4?
Like I said at the start,
I
let
want
me
to- I
know
wanna
what
see that.
you think is
For real, I
going to
wanna
happen
see
in
that.
the festival 2025. Do you think they're going to drop 1 ultra or 2? And honestly, if they drop 2 ultras, that's going to mess up a lot of us, especially considering they've already dropped 2 ultras since the 7th anniversary.
Next
ended.
video's
But hope
right
you guys
here.
did enjoy this video.
It's another Zakashi vid.
How do these not exist in Dragon Ball Legends already? Ultra banners. I feel really sorry for some of you guys starting Dragon Ball Legends anytime within the last 2 years. If you're 1 year in, that's even worse. And if you're starting today, bad news for you. If you've got a favorite character and they've already gone Ultra, that character is probably going to suck. But you still might want the character for collector's purposes, right? But while there's not many Chrono Crystals to go around because you have to split them and put them in the right places.
Right.
Or the one character you want, you have to wait for the Ultra rerun. Then you're gonna miss what's new with the best looking animations you've ever seen in Dragon Ball Legends history. I'd hate having to summon an Ultra Super Gogeta, the first summonable Ultra
pretty much
2025. But because of this, there's literally no way by the end of this year there shouldn't be an Ultra banner with multiple Ultras on that same banner. Like, I get it, right? Ultras are meant to be the highest rarity, so they don't want to just put them on the same banner because they'll be easily accessible and that decreases their value. But when there's as many as there is in Dragon Ball Legends currently, let me even count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 Ultras in Dragon Ball Legends. And we're going to get another one in the Festival 2025. Surely it's time to at least put some of the old ones on the same banner. They keep doing that resurgence thing at the end of the year when they bring back all the Ultra banners at the same time.
The old ones, it should be like 3 all of them, like 5 of the same tag.
Available in Dragon Ball Legends to the point where you could just put at least 3 on one banner, even if it's just the first 3. Those being Ultra Super Gogeta, Kaioken Goku, and Ultra Super Vegito. They've already gone ahead and made Ultra Super Vegito free, so what's the hold up with this? Because I hate seeing Ultra Broly return. I'm not gonna lie, you didn't make him the best unit of all time on release when he was literally bodying all the Z Fighters, and then on his platinum equipment, the timing of it plus the utility of him just wasn't valuable long term. So can we see Ultra banners with multiple Ultras on them, please? Thank you.
How could they revive him
now? Finishes. Now this might sound ungrateful, but I don't think it is. With the rate that they're pumping out Ultras, or rather with how many we have, it's not ridiculous to say the idea of an Ultra is becoming more and more stale by the day, especially when they're not coming with any new mechanics or anything that separates them from a valuable Legends Limited. I think when it comes to an Ultra, they need to get a lot right to make it actually feel a tier above the rest of the game. So not just being overpowered, but it should feel different from a Legends Limited. So the first things we point out is the ink art. When we first saw Ultra, the ink art was so amazing.
When I first seen that Goku intro,
oh my god, worse, but not all of them are good. Some of them are pure laziness. 2 that we'll easily mention: Ultra Super Janemba. What were they doing there? He has one of the sickest animations in the whole of Dragon Ball, and they somehow managed to fumble his ink animation. And Ultra Kid Buu, for him it's not the ink art, it's the final art. I think his ink art is pretty good. It's not the best, but the final art is pure laziness in my opinion, and it's very apparent and voiced by the Dragon Ball Legends community. But I guess we can let those slide. It's not that bad, but you can tell. But when we get in game, what separates them from Legends Limiteds? There's a lot of cases where Legends Limiteds are doing literally better than the Ultras that we have. For example, they gave Ultra Hit a platinum equipment in the 7th anniversary, but Kaioken Goku in part 2 was literally dog walking him. So what was the point of that? And it's not like Kaioken Goku has anything new. Sure, he has the animations with the dynamic area battles, but that's about it. But Ultra Hit with a time skip unique mechanic is not even valuable in PvP. Literally just a part later. That's quite upsetting. So when units are releasing these Ultras and they're not doing anything more spectacular to put them above a Legends Limited, in terms of power and creativity, it's quite boring. Let me give you some examples. Half Corrupted Zamasu is just a reskinned Beast Gohan pretty much. And because he's more recent, he's gonna be more meta relevant. Full Power Frieza is also a partially reskinned Beast Gohan, but they just made it more cracked because you can combo the Death Beam, and he also has survivability and endurance. Ultra Kid Buu, mechanically, I guess you could talk about his gauge, but he does nothing that was actually unfathomable. Ultra Broly, nothing there. You guys see the point with the way they built.
Broly has something. Broly has something. The defense gauge. He could cover change on blues. When you build up the gauge, the nigga gets health back. Come on, bro.
even if they did get an upgrade,
Yeah,
Legends
something.
Limited can easily surpass them. So with all that being said, I think at least Ultra should offer what a Legends Limited offers, and then a step beyond. And that would be the ink art, making the best
hell
of the
no.
game, a new mechanic, etc. This might be a
I
niche
know what I
thing,
have to do.
but for Legends Limited at least, right? You know how you go to the summons and you can see some people's ultimates, but once their banner leaves, and if there isn't a banner available where you can see them, you can't see their legendary finishes anymore. That's pretty annoying. Sometimes I just want to see the legendary finish in game. You know, I want to open up the game and see the character's legendary finish. I don't want to go and do it on a bot. If their banner's there, then that's a lucky break, but I still have to find the banner they're on. You know, similar to how there's a story archive, I kind of just want to see
that
the
would be
legendary finish of the
fire
character without owning the character. And the same goes for things like the ultra arts, etc. I don't really see what I'm getting until I get it. So maybe that's done intentionally, but I don't think so completely, because if their banner was in the summoning page, I can see it. So why withhold me just because the banner disappears? I would kind of like an archive that I could see at all times for the legendary finishes, the ultimate arts of ultras, or even just the art of the ultras, because if I don't have them, I can't ever see it. And that's a shame, to be honest. You don't get to see what you're gonna get before you get it. I'd rather just not use it, but you can still use it. There's the try button on the summons. But yeah, that's about it. I understand the accessibility factor of it, you know, for trying the character, but just seeing, like, I can't see with my own eyes if their banner's not there. That's dark.
It would be fire
can we get that in the game? This one just weirdly
whatever character in
and
your,
it doesn't mean they're not doing it, but what are they doing? So you know, every couple months or something, usually right before or after a celebration, they will do this major ban wave of all the cheaters that exist in Dragon Ball Legends, right? If they're doing a major ban wave at one point, what are they doing the rest of the time? What's actually going on? What are they doing? Are they just sitting on their asses? The people are getting banned, the major cheaters, I'm sure, but does that mean they're intentionally letting people go under the radar, and only when their player count goes off, so around the celebration, do they actively work to make their PvP experience better? Am I crazy for thinking that? Because that's what it sounds like to me. If you have to do a major ban wave at one point, that means your security has to be lax more time around the clock. So that means their cheating detection just isn't up to scratch 24/7. So when the game isn't super hype, I'm having to deal with laggers, DC cheaters, and whatever the hell type of cheaters exist in ranked PvP, because they're not going out their way to actively stop them. So the overall playing experience the whole year round isn't good. Am I overthinking this?
He
Maybe,
might be
I don't
spitting.
know.
He's talking right now.
Mentioning. Why is there just not a very good anti-cheat system for Dragon Ball Legends? I'm sure it costs, but this game makes a lot of money.
Might be some truth
and
to
since
this.
they can do it sometimes, surely that means it's possible all the
that
time.
every time the
But
game
you
is
guys
hype,
let me
I'm
know
not
what you
lagging
think about that.
at
I am
all.
open to opinions on this, but it's just something I thought
Unless I'm on a
about,
train
because
or
playing
something, but,
PvP
like,
and when you're fighting a
I'm not
laggy
lagging. I'm
person,
not
it's
getting
truly
no-
insufferable.
no
Okay,
laggers.
the pity system in
I'm not
Dragon
getting
Ball
no
Legends,
weird,
I'm specifically
hacking
talking
ass
about the
niggas.
ultra banners. I
Like,
wouldn't
shit's
really
just
apply
regular.
this for Legends Limited banners, although it would be nice and other games do have it. I'm going to take Genshin
what he say?
Impact
Run it back.
system
Ma-
into
ma-
Legends. I'm specifically talking about the ultra banners. I wouldn't really apply this for Legends Limited banners, although it would be nice and other games do have it. I'm going to take Genshin Impact system. So what they have is, when you summon on a banner, right, once you get to 90 pulls, you're guaranteed to get one of the featured characters 100%. But obviously there's less valuable characters on the banner, so their whole format is slightly different. But if I was to put it into Legends terms, you spend 30,000 Chrono Crystals, right, and you're guaranteed to get one of the featured characters. Now you spend 60,000, so you do it twice, and after the 60,000, you're 100% guaranteed to get the new
That'll be
character.
fire.
Now what's also good about Genshin Impact is that even if the banner disappears, that pity will carry over to the next banner. Now if they did this for ultras, I think how they should go about it is transferring the pity from the same ultra banner to the same ultra banner, but when it returns in the future. So let's say I summoned on Ultra Super Vegito, right? I spent 30,000 and I didn't get Ultra Super Vegito on the 30,000. That means once I get to 60,000 at least, I'm guaranteed to get Ultra Super Vegito if I summon more on his banner when it returns. And I think if the pity maintains for certain ultra banners, since they're just
there's
going
no
to
pity in
keep
Legends,
returning
though.
the same ultra banners, you'd feel at least a bit better
The most
when it came
pity
to
you
summoning
get
on
is
ultra banners.
you have to
know?
spend,
It doesn't have to be like
what was
Genshin
it,
where
like
they do the 30 then 60. But I feel like your
90K or
pity should
something?
carry over
Like,
for
it was
that
some high
specific
ass
ultra
price. You
banner,
have to spend
especially
mad
considering now they've
crystals or
introduced
do mad
pity. What we
rotations or
saw with
something,
Super Saiyan 4
and then you,
Vegeta,
guaranteed
where when
copy.
you spend a certain amount, you're guaranteed to get him, but only for the first copy. In
Those some
Genshin Impact,
bullshit.
it happens over and over again, so it doesn't only mean for the
Like,
first
really?
copy,
Y'all
but in
think that's
Legends,
pity?
even if it is the first
That
copy,
ain't
that
pity.
would make everybody's
That's
experience in Dragon
bullshit.
Ball Legends a lot better.
That ain't
At least
pity,
you're
that's
guaranteed to
bullshit.
get one copy after a certain amount, because some of the
the
Chrono
hell?
Crystals that people be spending
hell
the
you
amounts
talking
is
about?
actually just ludicrous.
Ain't no
And I feel
gosh
like
darn
if there
pity.
was that type of pity system
Some
where people
fucking
knew they were
bullshit.
guaranteed, people would be more willing to spend Chrono Crystals anyways, because they know they're gonna get the unit after an eventual amount of spending Chrono Crystals. Does that make sense? The pity system just needs to improve.
My boy
but the fact that things don't
Rafhan.
carry over is nasty work. Because imagine you need to spend 40,000
I gotta bring
for
him
Super
back.
Saiyan 4 Vegeta. The banner goes. So now it comes back, but the pity doesn't come back like they've already stated. It's a one-time thing. You have to make your way back up to 40,000, but this time there's no pity at 40,000. So you might even go beyond 40,000, and that's tough. You could have been 1k CC off and the banner left, and there was no more CC for you to get in the game. That's super rough, buddy. The pity system just needs to be better, obviously. That's unfortunately all I have for this video. There's actually a large amount of things that I could mention in this video, but I opted out of doing that because I could just be complaining about Dragon Ball Legends. For example, one thing I intentionally missed out is the 20k CC Chrono Crystal cap, but that would more so be me talking about things that they could just do to better the game. But there's some things I try to go for slightly niche things that everybody's kind of experienced that should just be in the game, maybe more quality of life here and there, but definitely deserve to be spoken about. But let me know if there's anything you think I missed out. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you haven't already, make sure to press the subscribe button. We're on this grind to 200,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys for watching.
Alright, man. What's the other video I had? This one. The downfall of Zenkais.
Got some of the Zenkais over the years. To see
I was watching it a little bit, and I was like, yeah, I gotta watch this on stream.
The Zenkai characters were once known as the most powerful and toxic characters in Dragon Ball Legends. This system had the potential to turn the most ordinary and run-of-the-mill character into a damage-dealing monster that could even destroy the best units in the game. But unfortunately, over the years, it seems that Zenkai characters have taken a sharp decline in quality. They're barely given any new things in their kit, the damage and tanking just isn't present, and the only possible purpose that they serve is just to be a bench for the more broken dominant character at that given time. So,
that's exactly
what the hell
how it
happened?
feels right now.
How did Zenkais go from being the top
Except for
dog
that new
to now
Gohan.
being reduced to a bench warmer? Well, to answer that question, let's take a look at some of the Zenkais over the years to see if we can find the exact moment where they began to decline.
Actually, when did you upload this? "12 hours ago." So Gohan was out. Maybe it was Gohan that made him make this
Make sure to
video.
like the video, subscribe, and join my Discord to talk and connect with other people within the community. Link will be in the description. Alright, we'll throw that yap out the way. Let's get right into it. The Zenkai system was introduced to the game around early December of 2019. And the first ever batch of characters to receive a Zenkai was Sparking Super Saiyan Goku, Sparking Blue Broly, and LF Beerus. Goku and Broly were, yeah, they sucked. They were terrible. But as for Beerus, on the other hand, he was in a league of his own. He is the true definition of going from trash to treasure. And since he's a support type, he was able to juice up the team with all kinds of buffs, which in turn also meant this character was going to age
Beerus was still kind of
phenomenally.
annoying by
And
the
he
time
did.
I started playing.
In fact, he only kept getting better with every single Gaki unit that came out. The best example of this being LF Vegeta Blue and Sparking Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. This trio was a nightmare to face back in the day. There was nothing you could do. Sparking Blue Cooler was the next character to receive a Zenkai Awakening, and he was ridiculously strong. Even just as Zenkai 1, this guy did so much damage, he would pretty much just solo your entire team. He made a great addition to the already powerful LoE team at the time. So here's two prime examples of what not just good, but insane Zenkais can look like. And it's only up from here. Because from this point onward, Zenkais will start to get even crazier.
LF Cooler an actual good
ahead to
Zenkai like
September of
that.
2020. Most of the Zenkais to come out have been absolutely insane. Pretty much every Zenkai was a must run for the team. Especially this Legends Road Kid Goku. This guy was a core staple on every Saiyan and Sun family team for the longest time. But
I
no
hated
one,
seeing him.
and I mean
And
no
this
one could
nigga right
compare
here,
to the
FSK,
absolute
I
demon of a
hate-
Zenkai that was about to be unleashed onto this game.
He was so
Ladies
annoying.
and gentlemen, the king
So
of all
gosh,
rats
darn annoying.
has arrived.
I said annoying? Annoying. I guess this right here.
That's right, the most infamous Zenkai in the entire game.
Fucking
LF, Father
Rattata.
Kamehameha.
Straight out of Route 1.
This little dirty, disgusting sewer rat. I'm sure there's no need to explain how dominant this guy was. You all
transforming Vegito, my goat.
You got touched one time, instant death. No exaggeration. And then, a week later, we were followed up with sparking Android 18 Zenkai. And her damage was just on par with Gohan's.
18,
Even the mighty
God.
LF Vegito Blue was struggling against this queen.
There's no way he's dead, is there? Oh my God. Goodbye. Oh no. Oh no.
Craziest. This is still one of the craziest Zenkais to me. Just the fact I love girls so much, and she was one of the
you
best
guys remember
characters
in the show
game.
when Android 18 solo Vegito Blue without a sweat?
Yes.
That was a crazy ass
that was
episode, bro.
crazy, bro.
Yeah,
I remember that
it's safe to
episode.
say these characters instantly became the new king.
She hit him with one beam, and
Androids
Vegito
and
Blue
Hybrid
just died.
Saiyans became better than ever, and they
A
went on to
tragic
rule
way
the
to end
game
the
for a
episode, man.
good while. And from this point forward, pretty much every single Zenkai that released after was meta viable. Whether it be extremely dominant meta characters like LF transforming Super Saiyan Goku,
Namco was
LF Super
bugging.
Saiyan 3 Goku,
Super
and
Saiyan
LF
3,
Super Vegito.
Super
or most of the
Vegito,
1%
I wanted that
Zenkais,
Zenkai for
acting
so
as a solid
long.
third option for the team. Of course, that's not to say we didn't have the occasional stinkers.
Fine, of
The
course
prime
I
example
finally
that
got
comes
it.
to mind for me is Legends Road Green Gotenks. Absolutely terrible. And his Zenkai dropped at the worst possible time.
Gotenks.
It was during the prime UI sign Goku meta. Like, what did the devs
Crazy.
think what was going to happen? But even though there were a few slip-ups here and there, one thing was for sure certain. Every single LF
They hold
Zenkai
that,
was beyond
Gotenks.
broken. And the majority of the 1% Sparkings had a greater purpose instead of being casted aside into the bench spot. It was very clear that these Zenkai characters weren't going away anytime soon. And thus, the era of the Zenkais
Oh my God.
commenced. They were
The Zenkai era?
everywhere. Even if you wanted to
The Zenkai
escape
era
them,
was-
you
the
couldn't.
Zenkai era was the
Not
shit.
only were the Zenkais themselves
That was the
phenomenal,
shit.
they completely juiced up the team with extra buffs.
This was the
making
era where I
each
was
character the same
completely
color
dog
as them,
shit, 'cause
even
none of my
stronger
characters
than
had
what they
enough
were
stars.
previously. And as more and more dominant Zenkais released, the environment of the game only furthered its descent into unbearable toxicity. I'm sure most of you guys remember how toxic Regen became due to Prime Zenkai Fat Boo. And they also had
Zenkai
Zenkai
Fat
Demon
Boo.
King Piccolo, who both had insane damage and tanking. Then there's also all the broken Super Saiyan Zenkai characters who became even more roided out when you added Blue Bardock
Never
into
used
the
Piccolo.
picture. These are just one of the few many
seen him-
examples
I've
of the
seen,
negative environment Zenkais have
seen
caused
Boris
towards the
and
game.
Rai.
But of course, nobody is more at fault for this than this
definitely
guy. Oh, we're not done talking about this rat
seen
just
him
yet.
moving like
Remember
crazy.
how I said earlier this guy went on to dominate for a long time? Yeah, I wasn't kidding.
Yeah, FSK.
This unit went on to terrorize players for a year and a half. The longest running dominance any character has had in this game's
FSK was
history.
something else.
For all you new gens who think UMV lasted too long, trust me, you don't understand true pain.
I don't even think you really know what a bad day is.
I don't even think you really know what a bad day is.
But you're gonna find out. You hear me, miss? You're gonna fucking learn.
No. No. Why?
The amount of damage this single character
Why
has
is he playing
caused
this
to not
shit
just the
right
community,
here? Oh my
but
God,
the game
no.
itself is
Seeing the
irreversible.
damage.
The devs completely overdid this unit's damage stats.
Bro, I hated
and now
this nigga.
because of this demon child that they created could not be controlled. To say people hated this character is the biggest
I hated this
understatement.
nigga.
in
I
movie
hated
history.
this
You
trio.
can ask anyone from the community right now their opinion on this dirty ass rat.
This
On my
dirty
life,
ass
God strike me down right now, it's going to be nothing but negativity and hatred. People were done with this character, and in turn, done with Zenkais. Toxic release after toxic release. The community was at its wits' end with this system. And
I
the
wanna
backlash
bring him
was
back
only
so
getting louder
bad,
by
but I
the
know it
day.
ain't gonna work.
And it didn't go unnoticed by the devs. They were seeing every complaint. And they must have really took the criticism into consideration. Because when 2022 rolled around, this is where we'd start to see the first major decline with Zenkais. Now, the majority of the LFs this year and the years to follow were still pretty good, but definitely not as dominant as they were previously from the Zenkai nerf. There are definitely some mid-LF Zenkais, but we'll get to them in a second. Because first, we gotta talk about this tremendous dip in quality for the 1% Sparkings. These guys
Oh, yeah,
went
the
from being a
1%
solid third option
Sparkings?
for the team
No,
to the
bro.
majority of them being
Let's talk about the fall off of the EXs. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about when Goku was actually usable in a fight. For the amount of time that he was. Just talk about when he was actually usable in a fight. Let's talk about fucking... Hold on. Let me look at the EX units, bro. Let's talk about Purple Vados. Let's talk about EX Blue Topo, I think it is. Blue? Or yellow? Hold on. Was he EX? I think he's a sparking. You get the point. You get the point.
Completely unrunnable and sitting like good little boys in the bench, only to make the Ultras and LFs perform better. For example, Sparking Berserk Kale, Red Goku Black, Super Trunks, Super Android 13, Great Saiyan Man 1 and 2, Blue Slug,
Saiyan 1 and
Purple
2.
Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. They were all pretty bad. And that's a good chunk of the 1% Sparkings this year. And even the decent ones like Green Spirit Bomb Goku, Blue Fist Goku, Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku, and Green Piccolo. It really didn't matter.
This
Each
nigga
right here,
yo, this nigga right here was the goal. Yo, I love this nigga. Him, tough. Him right here, comp. Him right here, comp. Him right here, comp.
Each new character was getting more stronger and more advanced with every release, to the point where a simple 1% Sparking just couldn't keep up with the dominant units, nor did they have any room on the team to be a third option. I mean, just take a look at the majority of the headlining releases of that year. Ultra Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku, LF Tag 17 and 18, LF MUI Goku, LF Beast Gohan. Like, do I even need to continue? And the same point still stands for the actual good 1% Sparkings this year. Sparking Baby, Green Ultimate Gohan, Future Gohan, and free-to-play Vegeta.
This Gohan, comp, Baby was the boy. Him, Baby with Zenkai Majin Buu
were all phenomenal, but unfortunately, they barely had as much longevity as the previous Zenkais before, with all of them being quickly replaced within a couple releases. And moving forward to 2023 and 2024, the quality of these 1% Zenkais will only continue to get more underwhelming. And finally, heading into 2025, 1% Sparkings would reach an all-time low, with almost every single one being completely underwhelming due to the new design philosophy. And unironically enough, the only good 1% Sparking of that year was Zenkai Green Daima Goku, who was made before the new design philosophy was even announced. And taking a look at the most recent 1% Sparking of this year, with them being mediocre at best, only further proves the point that 1% Sparkings are most likely never going to be on par with the newest LF or Ultra, and most definitely not ever be considered the best unit in the game. Moving on to the LFs, like I stated before, for the most part, majority of their Zenkais remained very good for a while. It wasn't just a straight up downward spiral like the 1% Sparkings. It wouldn't be until the middle of 2024 and all of 2025 is when we actually start to see the decline. Now that's not to say there still weren't any fumbles between 2022 to 2023. LF Vegito Blue, LF Goku Black, and LF Majin Vegeta would prove this. All three of them were very underwhelming and got no significant changes to their kit besides stat boosts. And with 2022 being home to a majority of the most broken units of all time in the game, these guys serve zero purpose in the meta. Then there's LF Full Power Frieza and LF Bardock, who share the same issues. LF Frieza was decent, but ultimately got no relevancy due to UVB running around terrorizing the game at this time. And as for LF Bardock, he just wasn't really given significant change. Just a stat increase that would barely get him anywhere in the long run. But as for the rest of the LF Zenkais between those years, they were amazing. And this trend of solid LF Zenkais would continue into the beginning half of 2024.
All those Zenkais
with Super Saiyan 4 LF Zamasu and LF Kid Buu being some of the most powerful LF Zenkais we've seen in a good while. But unfortunately, the same cannot be said for the rest of them. LF Broly, Dragon Fist, Blue Bros, Trunks, and Blue Duo were all mid. Nothing major was changed with their kit. All they got was extra stats, and clearly it was not enough to make them relevant. At least Zenkai Gogeta Blue was good. A great partner to work alongside Ultra Beast Gohan. And finally, moving into 2025, first of all, damn nigga, that's it. This is all the LF Zenkais we got this year? Literally a fraction of what we got in 2024. No wonder why players feel so deprived of content. Okay, so two things before we actually continue on with the video. Number one, while I'm editing this, I realized I actually made a mistake with Blue Rose and Gogeta. I actually thought they Zenkai'd at the end of 2024, but they actually came out on January 8th of 2025. So way in the beginning of the year. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that's my fault. I got the dates mixed up and I crashed out on Legends for no reason, so sorry. And number two, since I recorded this segment way in advance, I don't mention LF Future Gohan Zenkai in this video because it didn't exist when I first started recording. But surprisingly, he actually seems to be really good.
Yeah, he has a very good Zenkai.
So W Legends for not fumbling him. I mean, come on guys, let's be real. It's Gohan. Of course he was going to be good. Anyways, just wanted to clarify those two topics up. Let's get back to the video. Anyway, starting off with Cell, he was pretty solid, but unfortunately got pushed out of relevancy in the blink of an eye. I mean, it's not really his fault. It's due to all the shit ton of Dynamite characters being released the month after, and yeah, no further explanation needed. Moving on to the final 3, all these guys are made under the new design philosophy. Starting with Rev UI, he was
Rev
decent.
UI was okay.
He had pre-existing tools that already
I
made him
thought
good,
he was kind of
but his
ass.
Zenkai barely changed him kit-wise.
Once you have a Max
I honestly
Zenkai
do
with
think
an
this
actual
character did get a
team,
bit
he's
overglazed
okay.
by the community, which I know is crazy coming
He
from
does
my
serve a
mouth
purpose.
because I am the UI glazer himself. But it's kind of true when you really take a look at this character. The only reason why he even got all this glaze is because he's a revival character, and the fact that he was the perfect partner for the new LFMUI Goku. Not to mention Unireps got hella buzz for the celebration. It was literally the perfect environment for him.
Yep.
But as soon as it switched up when Kaioken Goku and Rev Vegeta dropped,
boy
this
Vegeta
guy got
right
power
there, the
cut into
GOAT.
oblivion. And his Zenkai not giving him a
GOAT
bunch of damage card
anniversary
really
unit.
killed this
Not gonna
character. LF Cooler,
He's still good to this day.
absolutely terrible. Damage, trash,
LF Cooler was
defense, even more trash. And most
Absolutely
embarrassing
dog
of
shit.
all, he couldn't even push back the 2 dominant Super Saiyan characters at the time, which is literally
Which is
the
crazy.
entire point of his existence.
His whole point
he
of
had
living
the perfect environment
is to
set
take
up
them
for
out.
him, and still underperformed.
Surely he kills, right? 2 million HP, type advantage. There's no way he lives. Come on. There's no way Namagoku lives. That's impossible.
He lived. Let me tell you something. Namagoku definitely lived. That nigga is trash.
The only reason why you see people hyping him up now is solely because of Android 13's support. But even with that, nah, he's not escaping the fraud.
Even with
allegations.
Android 13
Bro still gets
support,
his
he
cheeks
can't
ran
do
through
shit.
like a good boy.
Even
Especially
with
now,
that, he
Ultra
can't do
Prep
anything.
Zamasu in the picture. If a type disadvantaged Super Saiyan character is doing this much to him, imagine what CMZ is gonna do. And finally, LF Spirit Bomb Goku. Just
Nope.
like Rev UI, he already had good pre-existing tools that made him an effective character in the fight.
Oh,
but
yeah,
his
Banku
Zenkai barely
was tough.
changed anything about him.
Very
Pro
good
Zenkai,
unit.
he doesn't do any good damage, nor can he tank well, especially against Ultra Full Power Frieza. Not a fun time for this Goku whenever these two cross paths. To be fair, you can get away with using him if you don't run into Frieza, but let's be real. You're gonna run into Frieza like
Nigga, just keep
98%
a
of your
purple unit
matches.
on
Okay, I would like to
standby,
add again
honestly.
about Ultra Zamasu. He is a purple unit, and even though he hasn't been released in the game yet, because I'm recording this segment the day his trailer dropped, I'm just gonna go ahead and assume that he's gonna push Frieza out of the meta by a lot. So maybe this Goku will be made better because of this. But as of right now, this guy is in a weird spot. And the fact that this guy is even as controversial as he
Yeah,
is
Banku's decent.
proves that his
He's a
Zenkai
very
wasn't
good
enough.
unit.
It is honestly
very
really
good,
sad
but he's
to
a
see
good
the
unit
decline
to
of these
use.
once powerful characters, to the point where even the premium LF units are feeling underwhelming. And even when we finally do get a good Zenkai, they simply lack the longevity they used to have. Take a look at Rev UI, for example. My Go couldn't even get 2 months worth of relevancy. So, why? What happened to Zenkais? And why do most of them that come out nowadays always seem to fall short?
Crazy.
Well, I briefly answered this question earlier.
Cooler
but just in
disappointed
case
me,
you
man.
forgot,
Cooler
it's because players were complaining
disappointed
about how
me.
broken and toxic they were.
He disappointed me
So
when he
guys
first
listen
came
by
out.
really turning the
He
dial back
disappointed
on
me
them. And it's
when
also a
he
mix
got
of
his
them
Zenkai.
probably being scared of overdoing a Zenkai and creating another
Poor
rat
guy.
that will terrorize the game again.
did that Red
I still
Cooler
don't think
so
that's a
bad.
valid excuse for making them as shit as they are nowadays, but there's nothing we can really do about it, unfortunately. Honestly, it's really all because of Gohan. He messed it up for everyone like he always does. If you really want to point the blame on something, then by all means, your culprit is right here. Please go for
FSK
it.
is so
Nothing
gay.
would make my day more.
Was.
But anyways, I hope you guys
Was.
enjoyed this video.
Was.
Let me know your thoughts on Zenkais.
He is not
Do you
by
miss how
far
broken
not
they used to
usable at
feel,
all right now.
or are you happy with how most of them turn out nowadays? Let me know in the comments below. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a blessed day, and I'll catch you in the next one.
And you too,
Peace out.
man. We gotta get that like. So did I like the other videos? Sorry, Zakashi. Alright, those are some good videos. I'm gonna finish this fight on Legends, and then I'm gonna give y'all another video. I'm find another video to watch. It's whatever. Come on, man. Just die. There's no reason to fight any longer. You're not gonna win. Go. I hate this Goku. Just let it go, bro. There's nothing you can do. 23 mil to 10 mil. Really, bro? You couldn't do better? All right. Got my first win. Rank 59. All right. Then we'll watch one more and then we're going to hop off of this. Huh. Ranking the top 10 best characters in the game. All right, let's see what Gorge thinks about the top 10 characters in the game.
Hey guys, so today we're
He's
going to jump
better
into
than me,
the
so I
October
guess he knows.
2025
He definitely
version
knows what he's
of
talking
my
about.
top 10 best characters in
77K?
Dragon Ball Legends video.
Hold on, I ain't gonna
Probably
crystal
going to do
watch. I'll be
another
right
one
back.
of these before.
I ain't gonna crystal watch. All right, y'all, I'm back. I got me something to eat. Now let's see what Gorge thinks about the top 10 characters in the game.
Legends Fest starts, but that will probably be the beginning of November. So this probably will be the only one I do in October, because we should be getting one more premium release before Legends Fest begins. Before we get into the rankings, all characters considered at 14 stars, best teams, best equips, everything maxed out on their best setups. Number 2, I like to view this top 10 ranking as a top 10 best characters in the current meta list, instead of just who's better than who else, right? So if a character's ranked number 6 on this list, doesn't mean they're always going to be ranked higher than the character ranked at number 10 on the list, for example. It just depends on the meta at any given point. And then lastly, this list consists of rankings that are entirely of my own opinion, and all the ranks are based on standard PvP, not proud PvP. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the list. We'll make our way from 10 all the way to 1, as we usually do. Number 10 on the list is going to be Ultra Perfect Cell. I think this character has had a pretty big increase in value recently for 2 reasons. Number 1, Android 13 has allowed this guy to do a lot more damage. And when you're a character that nullifies endurance, just baseline in your kit, I think that is a very important and a very valuable.
Pretty much, if you don't have Android 13, don't try to run this Ultra Cell unless you're really good.
Mechanic, especially when you're going up against characters like Full Power Freeze and things like that. The anti-endurance permanent ability just, is very, very powerful. And then the other ability that he has that actually is very strong, specifically against Ultra Fusion Zamasu, is, let me see if I can get this pulled up here, on the Solar Kamehameha. Inflicts all enemies with no special cover changing for 15 timer counts, which means that Ultra Fusion Zamasu does not have the ability to remove that debuff from himself when he uses his buff removal. So this cell theoretically can actually remove, or I guess not remove, but just ignore Fusion Zamasu's gauge, the ultimate / Rising Rush counter gauge when Fusion Zamasu is on standby. You can't swap in and counter this because this is not counter. This is not, you can't remove. Remove this debuff. So that's really powerful. I think most people tend to run Fusion Zamasu with Android 13, in which case you throw Android 13 in and have him meet this, and then he just has his first life procced, and then from that point moving forward, you got rid of Android 13's first life and Ultra Fusion Zamasu's buff removal charge. So moving forward from there, you can just kind of rush at any point. So I think Ultra Cell's in a really, really good spot right now. Obviously, the one thing with this character is defensively, he is very, very fragile. But on the other side of that, I don't think there are really any super threatening blue characters in terms of offense. 13 is a very powerful character, and we'll be talking more about 13 as we head through the list. But 13 is not really a character you're super concerned about offensively. He's more there as a utility character, support, second life mechanic, disrupt style character, not really pummeling you into a pulp as a blue unit. There really aren't any like super mega threatening blue characters right now, so Cell really benefits from that. So yeah, I mean, I just think this character has a very good spot in this meta right now. So I'm going to put Ultra Cell at number 10. Let's move on to number 9 next. All right, number 9 is going to be Zenkai LF GT Universal Spirit Bomb Goku. I think this guy is still a pretty effective defense type character on that pure GT setup.
Like I said earlier, Bonku is a very good unit. Not very good, but like, like he's good. He's a good unit. He has very good defenses, decent damage. You build his gauge up, his damage is going to be a little bit better. Boom. if you have him high stars, he's gonna be a good unit no matter what. So, if you have him at above 9 stars, he's gonna be a good unit until until an actual good green comes, like an actual crazier green unit, something crazier than Ultra Frieza comes in, or power creep, or his defenses get shittier over time, something like that. But he is a good unit.
Next to Purple Super Saiyan 3 GT Goku and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. There's a lot of strong reds right now, particularly, obviously, the red LF Fusion Zamasu and Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. You still occasionally see Kaioken Goku as well. And then you occasionally see Ultra Cell. I don't really know if I'd really pin this guy as being like a super good character against Ultra Cell, but at least when Ultra Cell is not type neutral, this guy can do a pretty good job walling him off. But this guy, yeah, is still a very, very powerful character to have on GT. I think he works well with the other GT characters. I guess, you know, damage-wise, he doesn't really do crazy damage, but once you have his gauge filled up, and let's say you have an opponent who's defeated, you have the lock-in snipe available with this guy. And if the opponent only has one available character left, you can, of course, use the Vanish removal. But I guess, yeah, you could also talk about the fact that when you have an enemy who's defeated, you can use this guy's lock-in to kind of get rid of Fusion Zamasu's buff removal. If you want to just use that on like a different character. Use the ult on a different character that's still alive. I don't really think there's much that I need to talk about with this character. I think we all know how this guy works at this point. He's just like a really good defensive character for GT. And him being blue, I think, adds a lot of extra value on top of that. So, and at number 9, let's move on to number 8. Coming in at number 8, we have the LF Tag Gamma 1 and 2 character. Obviously,
Gammas is definitely earned their place in the top 10.
Unique equipment, I guess.
They're one of the best units in the game, for sure, without a shadow of a doubt.
With Android 13, they have the support for the team. They're very bulky. They have good disrupt. They have the really crazy healing with the infinite swapping, or I guess infinite tagging, and plus they also heal whenever they get hit. And then 13 is healing them on top of that. Really good Dragon Ball destruction ability on this character as well. And their cover null condition now is much better. They can get cover null entry. They get cover null when they fall below a certain amount of key. They get cover null when they tag. So there's a lot of ways this character can refresh cover null constantly and just pummel the opponents with just infinite combos. Something else to mention that I will mention with another character on this list later on is this character gets cover null and entry from their equip, which means you can freely rush with this character and kind of get through the Corrupted Fusion Zamasu's buff removal and not to worry about the gauge activating.
You really don't have to worry about
that is with them, this character is very susceptible to the red Fusion Zamasu. More often than not, you're going to be running the Ultra Corrupted Fusion Zamasu with the red LF Fusion Zamasu. So if you decide to rush against that team with this character, the opponent most likely will just swap into the red Fusion Zamasu and he will slurp up this character's Rising Rush for free. He will not die to this character's rush. So that is something to keep in mind with this unit. So you really got to keep the subcount in mind when you decide to do that with this unit. But I think they're still effective character.
Very
I think
good
when
unit.
You look at this character now compared to where they were one PvP season ago, things have changed.
Especially when I don't have him,
for this
and I also
character.
don't have a unit.
I don't want to go as far as say they're almost a completely different unit as they were last season. But last season they were in the featured boost. Now they're not. Last season they didn't have to worry about Red Fusion Zamasu, which now they do. So, you know, it's a big change. I think they're a lot worse off now than they were last season, but I still think they are good enough with their equip to be placed at number 8 on the list. So let's move on to number 7 next, but the Gammas, I am pretty confident, are good enough to be here. All right, LF GT Super Saiyan 3 Goku is going to be number 7 on the list. I'll just preface this before we even start this. There is a pretty big separation, I think, between this character spot number 7 and then number 6 all the way through number 1. But this guy, I think, is still a very effective character. Obviously, really works well and to his utmost potential on GT next to Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, which is where he was intended to be ran. And then the third character, which we talked about already in the video, was the Spirit Bomb, Blue Spirit Bomb GT, the Universal Spirit Bomb Goku, the Zenkai one. But this guy's still good. Obviously, the big thing with this character that you can look at and kind of criticize heavily is his defense is not really that crazy. He doesn't have a second life mechanic. He doesn't really have the craziest disrupt. I think the key reduction is pretty effective, but he's not like, you know, he's
I can't really say much.
Down,
I don't have that
when he
unit.
Swaps out, but that's really just him being in combination with the other GT characters on the team. It's not him specifically like doing that when it's on the field. This is more of an offensive character. Obviously, the support is a big part of why this guy is so effective, I think, especially next to Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. And it's one of the reasons why I think Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta just feels like he does so much more damage on GT. Is really a lot of that is coming from this character. This character providing the green cards to Vegeta. This character providing the support to Vegeta. This guy essentially allowing Vegeta to more effectively and more
he is annoying when paired with Super Saiyan 4.
Switch attack mechanic through
That's the only
more
time he's
consistently.
annoying.
But overall, yeah, I like this
For
guy
me
still.
personally.
The buff or not the buff removal, the
My
vanish
personal
removal on
experience.
main plus Dragon Ball acquisition is still really powerful. The type neutral is still effective. Obviously, Namek Goku is still a very prevalent character all across the meta. And then, you know, most recently with this prior season, I don't really see them as often this season, but I still think they're a very, very strong character. The Gammas, this guy's type neutral can be very effective against them as well. So I really like this character. I think he's still really good. I'm going to have him at number 7. Let's move on to number 6. All right, 6 through 3 on the list, I think are actually all pretty close relatively to each other. And then I think there's a bit of a separation between 1 and 2 and the rest of the list. But I have Namek Goku at number 6. I think Namek Goku is still a very, very effective character. The reason why he's dropping so much here, other than the fact that we have just insane characters added to the list compared to last time. But this guy's matchup specifically against powerful opponent, I don't think is very good. Powerful opponent being Ultra Corrupted Fusion Zamasu, we have the Red Fusion Zamasu, and 13. That team, I think, probably is just the best team in the game right now. That exact powerful opponent setup. And Namek Goku, I mean, you know, you could sort of point to
Namek Goku
type advantage over Ultra Corrupted Fusion Zamasu, but Ultra Corrupted Fusion Zamasu has the very strict anti-lock-in abilities, and then also 13 on top of Fusion Zamasu also has the anti-lock-in abilities. So this guy locks the opponent in. He actually gets hurt by that a lot of the time. And then on top of that, even further, the Red Fusion Zamasu pretty much just completely walls this character off. Even if this guy is type neutral, a lot of the times he just can't punch through the Red Fusion Zamasu's defenses. But KO Guard's still a super mega crazy overpowered ability. This guy can get the feint potentially on the blue. Like, if you get the feint on like Red Fusion Zamasu with this guy's blue card, you can pretty much win the game off of that still. So that is something you kind of want to be aware of with this guy. AoE green, he's got the good disrupt still. He's got the
AoE
heal, the support. Like, this guy's he's still crazy. I mean, let's not downplay Ultra and Namek Goku here, but it's tough for me to put him higher than this when I think the best setup right now is a pretty, I don't want to call it a hard counter to this guy, but I mean, it, you know, for all intents and purposes, it is a pretty big counter to this character, and I think they set that up on purpose to be like that. But Namek Goku is still a really, really powerful unit, and I just can't put him lower than number 6.
I don't know.
Here we go, number 6, Ultra Namek Goku. Let's move on to number 5 next. All right, coming in at number 5 is going to be Ultra Full Power Frieza. You know, the thing about this is me putting this guy at number 5, I think is more telling of how crazy broken this guy is than the other way around, right? Oh, me putting this guy at 5, oh, he's fallen off so much, guys. Like, the fact that we have a character like Ultra Corrupted Fusion Zamasu in the game, and this guy is still at 5, is actually insane. That's how broken this character is. But obviously, you know, with reference in particular to his matchup versus Ultra Corrupted Fusion Zamasu, it's tough. It's tough for this guy. We've been waiting 15 months for a meta-defining purple character, and finally we got one. On the defensive end, he could be very, very tough for this guy to deal with. I mean, this guy does have a way to go type neutral with the full unique age into the active, but even with that, it's tough for this guy to punch through Fusion Zamasu. And then that, you know, powerful opponent setup in particular with the Red Zamasu and then 13. This guy obviously is a good matchup versus 13 because this guy can actually get past 13's one-time disrupt with the Death Beam if you get lucky by pulling a strike off of that. You can definitely get around it, which is pretty impactful, right? That's a big thing. Like, you just ignore a guaranteed combo ending ability essentially with this guy. But it's really, really tough for this guy to get through Corrupted Fusion Zamasu, and Corrupted Fusion Zamasu can straight up one-shot this guy with an ult or something, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So that's tough to do.
The thing with Ultra Frieza is he is very good defensively, very good offensively. Only problem with his color right now is that he's green, but he still lives up to being one of the best in the game. He still lives up to it even after being a green unit in a meta with a dominant purple and red duo, which is crazy. I hate fighting this Frieza. I wish they gave me him because I would have won way more of my fights with him.
I mean, this guy does have type neutral defensively on entry. He's got sub count reduction when he gets hit by a big move. So this guy has ways to get out of a sticky situation, but I don't think this guy has a particularly good matchup versus, like, you know, obviously Purple Zamasu himself, and even Red Zamasu can just tear this guy up. It's rough, right? I mean, I don't want to put this guy lower than 5 because I think the Death Beam plus everything else he's doing is too strong. Obviously, the Disrupt in this character is just way too overtuned. But I can't put him higher than this, right? I can't move him up, I don't think. Like I said, it's close. I think slots 3 through 6 on the list are pretty close. So if you want to move any of the characters from slots 3 to 6 interchangeably, I don't really have that big of an issue with that. But in terms of my interactions that I've had fighting against this character with the Zamasus, I haven't really found myself in as many problematic situations as I have in the past, obviously, right? So that's the biggest reason why I have him at number 5 here. So we'll see. I guess an argument you can make is you could simply just throw this character on a team with the Zamasu, right? You leader slot this guy, use the red Zamasu, use the purple Zamasu, and then you have like a future core, I guess. Even though it's a powerful opponent team, you just like have a future bench or something. That could definitely work, but do you really want to give up 13 for this character? There's positives and negatives to both aspects of that, but this guy's definitely, I think, still good enough to be in the top 5 here. So I'm going to put him at number 5. We'll see how he continues to age as we move through Legends Fest. If anything, honestly, I probably see this guy gaining value as we go through Legends Fest, just because I think the Death Beam is just impossible to power creep. So Ultra Full Power Freeze at number 5. Let's move on to number 4. All right, coming in at number 4 is going to be Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, still a character that is very, very powerful. The reason why I decided to put this guy one slot above Ultra Full Power Frieza is because Ultra Full Power Frieza has a direct negative matchup versus the main character of the powerful opponent setup in Ultra Fusion Zamasu because he's purple. Whereas this guy doesn't really have like a huge threatening blue character that's like there and ready to kill this guy immediately. You can point to 13. I think 13 is an exceptional blue character. I mean, there's a reason I haven't put him on the list yet. I mean, he's coming up, don't worry. So obviously he's very good, but his main role is not to come in and just like crush everything, right? He's not an offensive powerhouse. So this Vegeta doesn't really have too much to worry about in terms of just getting flattened by a blue unit. There really aren't that many like overbearing blue characters right now in terms of offensively powerful blue characters. So I think that interaction that this character has with the powerful opponent team versus the one that Frieza has, I'd give the slight edge to this character.
Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta,
I think another GT setup.
Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, another broken character that I summoned for. They didn't give me him, and quite frankly, if I had him, I would have won way more of my fights. Way more of my fights, bro. Way more. And I also would have had another video to my arsenal. But I don't, because they didn't give me him.
Allows this guy to look a little bit more impressive than the setups that Frieza has access to. Especially with Namek Goku being hurt a little bit more, I think. Because the team you'd run with Frieza is just the Frieza on the Frieza Saga team with like Krillin, Namek Goku, or you could run a third Saiyan character on that team next to Namek Goku and Frieza. And then Namek Goku getting hurt kind of more than these other Ultra characters, I think, from this update. Hurts Frieza a little bit more than it hurts this Vegeta. So that's why I decided to separate the Vegeta a little bit higher on the list than Frieza. But again, it's not that big of a gap. I think you could interchange them if you wanted to. But yeah, I think Vegeta's still in a good spot. 13 kind of hurts this guy a little bit on the defensive end, right? When Vegeta's using his switch attack and you kind of have your gauge built up and you're ready to go on like a huge combo, 13's Disrupt can activate and you just, maybe you have a full hand of blasts, maybe you just don't draw a strike when you need it and your combo could be over. It's happened many times. On the other side of that, though, you could definitely be in a situation where Vegeta's able to actually overcome 13's Disrupt. And he's one of the few characters in the game that can do that. Actually, again,
I've
like I said, with the Frieza, his segment, Frieza can do that too with the Death Beam. It just really depends on if you get lucky with the next draw or not, if it's a blast or a strike. And then obviously Vegeta for the next like 2 cards is type neutral, which also really helps a lot as well. But yeah, I think Vegeta's still in a good spot. I don't think this update particularly like crushed this guy or anything like that. He's still really, really good. Have him at number 4 on the list for a reason. But yeah, I think this is a good spot for Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. Let's move on to number 3, and we'll talk about some newcomers. Okay, so number 3 on the list is going to be LF Android 13. I actually don't think I've done a top 10 list post Android 13 release. So this is technically a new addition, and I don't think I need to explain exactly what he does, but we'll go through some of the highlights here.
He's annoying. That's
this guy
what he
is the most potent support character in the game. He's giving, I think it's like 50 to 60% support depending on the situation. He's giving you a full hand of cards. He's giving you full key. He's giving you abnormal condition removal, which is very, very relevant versus Zamasu. If you kill Zamasu, he applies your entire team with paralysis. If you have 13 on your team, you can simply go into 13, swap out, and you remove the paralysis. I mean, 13. I say simply, but like, you know, there's occasion where you just can't do that. I mean, sometimes you just get hit by paralysis right away. So, you know, it's sometimes things like that happen, but at least 13 having the ability to remove the abnormal conditions on swap out is extremely, extremely valuable right now. He has his own sub count reduction from standby when the opponent uses a big attack. He's got a second life mechanic and the revive ability. He's got really crazy disrupt. He has like the alternate version of the ultra blue Kaioken mechanic, where instead of sealing strikes on character confrontation, he's sealing blasts, which definitely it can get you. Definitely. He's got decent bulk. He's healing the entire team constantly every time he swaps out. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on and on and on. The one area where we could point to and say, you know what, this guy doesn't really have that is his damage isn't really that good.
The damage, yes.
Just, that's the way
his damage is not that good.
If his damage was good, I mean, this guy would be the best character in the game. But I'm actually really happy they didn't give him good damage, because then that wouldn't be... That would be anti-design, new design philosophy, right? We talk about the new design philosophy. If they also, on top of everything else that I just said, gave this guy like crushing damage, that would just be, there would be nothing separating this character from like people complaining about the ultras being overpowered in every regard, right? That's what we don't want. I think the character design for this guy is very good, because they highlighted the areas that they want him to be good in. It's not everything, but it's a few specific areas that they just made him a very, very powerful character in. And that is what he does. That is his role on his teams. And I think a lot of the reason why I think the powerful opponent team is the best team in the game stems from everything this character is bringing to the table for that team. So just a really, really insanely good character, very valuable. Ball. People call this guy the second coming of Android 17, LF Android 17. It's possible. I mean, I think he really is right up there in terms of design. We'll see if he lives up to that expectation. Is he going to be as good for as long as Blue 17, Future Gohan? Those are like the two Hall of Fame characters, really. Those are like the two best aging LFs, probably. You could probably also throw like Purple Revival Gohan in there too, but like there's a very few characters you can put in like that exclusive class of units that just lasted for a very, very long time. In the top tiers of
MVP
PvP, and I think this guy
is still
definitely
good
has a chance because of how well he's designed. So LF Android 13, just a very, very good character. Obviously, also against Namek Goku, he has the lock-in against Goku characters with the green card. He's destroying Dragon Balls with the green card. He's got infinite green card. Actually, no, I don't think it's infinite. I think it's... He draws green cards when he uses blues, but I don't actually believe... I don't remember if it's... Is it infinite? Okay, we could just quickly check. I actually don't remember if it is or not. No, it's twice.
Dotting. Red dotting.
As on activation, which means even if you miss this blue card in like melee range or something like that, you just draw green regardless, which of course is very good with the other powerful opponent characters we're going to talk about in a second. But yeah, LF Android 13, I think definitely good enough to be number 3 on this list. Let's move on.
Who's 1 and 2?
All right, coming in at number 2 is going to be Red LF Fusion Zamasu. They did a good job with this, man. I mean, this is what you have to do as the developers of this game.
Who the fuck is
this
number
is
1?
what you do when a character releases that is underwhelming. You got to correct the mistake, and this is an example of how they should handle all underwhelming premium characters. Ultra, I don't think an Ultra character is going to be underwhelming, but Ultra or LF releases that are underwhelming should get the treatment this guy received, should get the treatment LF God Goku received. There's no reason why they shouldn't, right? Super Vegeta should not be hung out to dry for 2 years because he just underperformed. Like, there's no reason for that. Why is Super Vegeta just not getting anything? Why is Demon King Piccolo not getting anything? Why is Red Broly not getting anything? Why is Metal Cooler not getting anything? Evolution Blue Vegeta, I think, was better than a lot of the characters I just talked about, but he's a Part 1 anniversary headlining character who was underperformed. He underperformed. All of those characters should get something. Maybe they're waiting for an opportune moment for all of those characters to get something. I don't know. But
Red Broly really desperately needs something.
I don't think they need to wait that long.
Red Broly needs something.
The one area of criticism that I would give to the way that they handled this character's equip is it took too long.
Red cooler, purple cooler.
When they have a character that releases that underperforms, the character should get something like 2 weeks later. They have the data like 2 days after the character releases. Are they good or not? They can tell. They can see it. I think they still handled it well with this character, just because obviously they themed this entire celebration around Zamasu, and this guy was specifically designed to work well. At least his equipment was, or maybe it was the other way around, where the Ultra was designed to work well with this character, because they knew they were going to drop this equipment at the same time. But the two Zamasus are designed to work very well together for a reason, right? So they did a good job with that. I'm just, this guy released in January, and now it's October, and he's getting something. To me, that's a little long. But I mean, if they were planning, because they knew that back in January, they already knew this Ultra was dropping in October. So that's the reason why they waited. But in the case of like Super Vegeta, who dropped in February 2024, and now we're in October of 2025 and he has nothing, like, that's just unacceptable. But yeah, this
that's outrageous.
From now on moving forward, whenever we get like an underwhelming premium release, right, I am going to be
enough yap. Who's number one?
So far, if we go over to PvP and go into the boost system, they just changed the boost system, so you can see the featured boost here. Not only are characters in feature, by the way, this character's back in feature boost, if you didn't know. Characters in the feature boost are not only getting 20% damage and 10% damage guard, they're also getting additional buffs if they're a Legends limited character based on how many stars they have. So if you're a character with 0 to 3 stars, you're getting 15% to health, strike and blast starts, and then strike and blast starts, attack and defense. 4 stars to 8 stars is 12%, and then 9 stars to 14 stars is 9% to health, and then base strike, attack, and defense, and blast, attack, and defense. The HP buff in particular on this guy is extraordinarily helpful. This guy thrives off of having HP. There's a reason why I always use HP plus HP restoration equips on this character, is because it's just it supplements what this guy wants to do so well. So the fact he's getting not only extra damage guard, but also HP, and then on top of that, base stats from this featured boost. I mean, it really does matter. And the same thing applies to 13. Android 13 is also getting this, and then the GT Super Saiyan 3 Goku, the purple one, is also benefiting from this as well. This guy right here. So that is just something I did want to mention real quick before we moved on from the section, but that is something that really helps this character.
Oh yeah, he is.
I don't know if we're probably not going to see like some massive drop off from this character after he exits the boost. I don't think so. But yeah, this guy with the equip, again, I'll say it again. This is what this character should have been in January. He should have been as good relative to the rest of the game as he is now. And they did a good job, because that's exactly the way that they did it with the equip. So good job with this. Red Zamasu number 2.
Definitely a very good unit.
All right, so number 1 is going to be Ultra Corrupted Fusion Zamasu. Very, very powerful character. He's stacking damage every time he uses a card. He's got 300% off the bat. Just does a lot of damage. His team is insane. It's him, 13, and then the red Fusion Zamasu, which is the powerful opponent team I've been kind of referencing this entire video. The damage across the board on that team is just so crazy. We've been in a meta